Hello, hello, what is going on, YouTube friends? Phoenix61 here with World of Warships Legends tonight. So we are in the Klingon Bird of Prey, the IKS Bortas, right? So this, if you watched my live stream the other night, I had bought some of the Star Trek crates and hated myself for it. Anyway, but we did get this ship to drop along with the Klingon dude commander, Gowron, I think, right? And so I leveled him up as much as I could. I think I only got him up to level 13. And then, I was looking at the ship and looking at the commander, and I was like, you know what, this looks like it warrants a secondary build, right? So I straight up did almost as if I was building a secondary build battleship for inspirations and stuff. And we had an absolute terrible game. So I didn't play that ship anymore over stream. I think that's my theme, right? If I get a new ship on stream, I just probably shouldn't. I mean, you gotta play it, right? But yeah. So we did bad with the what was it? The Nebraska, so the hybrids, right? So I did bad with those at first as well. This ship is definitely, you still gotta do kind of it's meant to be a brawler type build, right? But it's basically a British cruiser, right? So you get only AP shells. It is a little bit, I think, higher armored for its tier. So that's got something going for it. And then you do get the British torpedoes that are pretty hefty with where you can do single fire, right? So I do find myself having to bow tank battleships quite a bit. I don't really know if you can say it's tanky, right? But you do have a good amount of armor, but you can't give up any sidewall, right? You can't go broadside because you're gonna die like any other cruiser would, right? So you really kind of gotta muscle your way through sometimes. You gotta fight it out like a man in this ship, I guess. But that's not to say you can't, I mean, it's still cruiser. You still kind of gotta play cruiser, right? It's just maybe a little bit more aggressive. But anyway, so I had the secondaries built out to I don't know, 9 or 10 kilometers, and it works, but there's just not that many secondary guns, right? So there's 2 turrets on each side that have a 3-second reload or something, and they're supposed to be able to do 1500 damage or something, but I didn't really think I was getting that. We'll see a little bit. I think I used the secondaries a little bit at some point here, but yeah, as you can see, I'm just torn. I'm torn between being aggressive and playing normal cruiser, right? So there is this balance that you have to kind of take with this ship, right? Because over aggressive is going to get you killed early on, right? So I don't want to be broadside to this cruiser, right? So thankfully he's shooting at the other guy that's behind me. So we'll full forward to get out of his way so he can't shoot us. But we're using cover a little bit here. The flounder this battleship that's out in front of us is kind of tucked away in between us and this island here, so we're taking advantage of that. I'm not really sure what he's thinking. I don't know why he's not. Is he just not shooting? Is he just waiting for me? But so we get torpedo hits on the cruiser, and I think our battleship manages to finish him off. Yeah, this the Foudre, right? I'm probably saying it wrong, but I feel like he was just waiting there for me, just backing up, waiting for me, not doing anything else. Fine, you do you. But yeah, so you're gonna run into this kind of I mean, he's just, where you just can't do that much damage, right? And if I go and try and chase him down, right, he's playing smart. If I go and try to chase him down, I'm gonna be susceptible to fire from other enemy ships, and then, he's probably gonna kill me before I get within range of being able to shoot my torpedoes, right? So I can't manhandle him at this range, right? You'd have to sneak around corners and stuff like that, right? So yeah, it's still a cruiser. It's still a cruiser, don't forget. But yeah, so I'm playing smart. I'm using cover, using the torpedoes. I think you are a little bit more able to engage the torpedoes a little more than I am with some of the other British cruisers. I feel like with the other British cruisers, you try and get in torpedo range and you just kind of screw yourself over, right? So this one can muscle through it a little bit better, I think. Doing a bad job of lining up this Paolo Emilio. Maybe finally get a good shot here. But he's got a lot of health too. So then I'm looking at this guy and he's not really looking at us, so I'm going to take advantage of that, and we'll stop here. And just, you know, because we've got cover from everybody else, he's probably the only one that would be able to shoot us at this right here, right? So since he's not looking this way, I'm going to take advantage of that and just kind of damage farm him, right? I'm just going to shoot him as much as I can. And we do get, like, I mean, we are getting pretty chunky, good chunks of damage, right? But, I mean, there is at some point you're going to saturate their superstructure, you know, like whatever you want to call it, right? Where, like, you can only do so much damage to so many parts of the ship before it's like, alright, I can't punch through his hull, I gotta run up to him with torpedoes. But he's going to start looking this way, so we'll have to move forward. And we get lucky with the other battleship, didn't have the patience to wait for us anymore, so he's moving in towards the zone. So I'm just keeping an eye on that. There is their destroyer still in there as well. But at this point, like, I'm going to, you know, we're still playing kind of smart, but it's like, alright, the Lafoudre is looking the other way, right? So I'm like, let's do this. So I'm going to hyper-focus on the destroyer as much as I can here. The battleship looks like he's going to back up, so I'm going to fire torpedoes like a little bit behind him. I think I didn't quite lead that enough. But yeah, I'm still going to, like, focus on this destroyer. I want to try and get rid of the destroyer too, right? So, like, you know, and I know I'm not going to be able to pound through the battleship with my guns too quickly, right? Like, we do decent damage to him here. But yeah, I'm just like the multitasking I'm trying to, like, manage in this game is just ridiculous. Yeah, no, so I did lead him a good, but he just started moving forward once he saw those torpedoes, right? So we do manage to finish him off thanks to the torpedo, and then a few more bullets, and we'll take our shots at the Gneisenau. Gneisenau shot at us, so we turned in towards him. That's why we're turning that way. But then it also gives us that chance to cap the zone. And it'd be nice to get rid of that destroyer, but he's going to go into the B hole. But we got another cruiser in there, so hopefully they can stay spotted and we can help with him as well. This is one of those things where I'm letting auto aim do most of the work, and then I'm like kind of adjusting just a little bit based on where I think he's going and looking at the mini-map, right? But we're doing a terrible job at it, and we're missing him the entire time. I do love how these guns, like, sound with this, you know, with this camo on, but yeah, it's basically a Fiji, like, right? Like, so, like, it's not too much different, but you get this like beefed up armor, and then the longer range secondaries. I just don't think that they're that great. Like, and so, like, I originally built into them, and I was like, these are not doing that much damage, right? Like, we got, what, 5 hits? Like, the range is still good, even though I took away the build. It's still, like, 6.8 kilometers, right? And we only got 5 hits between, what, the battleship, and I don't know if the destroyer was close enough to us at all, but I was just like, whenever I was running that secondary build, I'm like, just not getting that many hits. There is something to be said about the Gowron commander, his main perk, or his primary, like, whatever, primary perk, whatever you want to call it, right? So we're just hanging out in this zone just to make sure we get the capture, right? And then we'll move forward, which ends up being a mistake for me, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, the main perk for the commander is, like, when the secondaries are, it's something like when the secondaries are aiming, you get, like, reduced damage, right? So you could argue, like, you know, you want to have better secondary range, because then if they're aiming, then you're always taking that reduced damage, right? But it was still just like, the armor's pretty good, and it's like, it's not really going to change my place out that much, you know? So I was just like, it just didn't feel like it was working for me. So I changed things up, and I tried to build more into the AP guns, right? And so I'll show you what I did at the end of the match, and kind of go into that a little bit, and kind of tell you my thoughts and feelings, right? So we get spotted here because of the Connecticut on the other side, right? So we fired our guns to Gneisenau, but I'm pretty sure it was this Connecticut that was picking us up. So I'm trying to play double duty here, and see who I can shoot at without being spotted. They've got 3 battleships left, but they're all kind of low, right? And I'm like, I got a good chunk of health left, right? But I mean, we've just been almost in a constant state of firing our guns for the majority of this game. Gowron looks like he's gonna want to try and like come press in, right? So this is the situation where you're up on points, you're up on zones, there's only a few minutes left, right? Make the enemy team come to you in this scenario. I think I'm too far forward. Like, I should have been backing up or turning around and getting out of here way sooner than I did here, right? So I was kind of mad at myself, but I was like, I was getting cocky. I had 128,000 damage. I had a good chunk of health left, but you know, I had already used all my heals, right? So yeah, and you don't get Gowron, the commander, does not get you fully packed. So you've got to choose. I think you got to choose either will to rebuild, which I kind of might want to play with this. We'll see. But then that, you know, you get, it makes the heal work a little bit better, so you get that added benefit. But you know, then if you really need that, you'd have to tie yourself to a battleship. You know, you'd have to just follow somebody else around, right? Like, and it's harder to create like crossfires and other things like that which are good too, right? So like, yeah. So I'm trying to get these cheap shots at the Gowron, but we do get spotted when we pull the trigger because I think that Connecticut can pick us up. He fires his airstrike. I'm trying to turn in towards the Gowron, but he slaps us real good before I can do so. You don't get propulsion mod, and I was kind of mad that I didn't get that torpedo hit, right? I thought I was so clever, but didn't quite make it there. He does. Gowron have sonar, probably? I think so. I'm gonna blame that, even if he doesn't have it. He'd have been out of it by the end of this game anyway. But yeah, so I was curious just to see how this game played out. I almost cut, you know, it's a couple minutes, but I almost cut it out of the video. But I was like, well, we got this good damage number. We'll let it play through, right? But yeah. So this is where I was just like, I should have just backed up and gone way more on the defensive at this point. And I think we probably could have survived throughout the game and either, you know, gotten 1 or 2 more kills. And definitely did some more damage as well. I'm actually like out of commander XP, so when I changed my inspirations on the commander from secondary to like somebody else, I'll show you what I did. I didn't want to spend the commander XP to adopt the inspiration, so I think my inspirations weren't even like working, like weren't even active yet for this game. So yeah, this got a little bit more opportunity here, and I kind of felt like I missed out on it, but almost 140,000 damage. This cruiser gets a little aggressive here, but you know, like what ends up working out is the destroyer is smart enough not to get himself spotted. Yeah, he was kind of broadside there, and then but he wanted to get his torpedoes off, right? So I think he gets the hits on the torpedoes, but doesn't get the kill here. We'll see what happens. You can see the airstrike coming in too, and I think he's just maybe taking advantage of the fact that the Connecticut had already fired, so he was just, you know, getting some shots off on him before turning in. And then yeah, 50 seconds left here. They almost killed each other. I think that Connecticut survived, or if he's not on fire or something, or flooding. I think that's probably what he was trying to do, like trip that fire, then he would have gotten that kill, but I don't think he dies. So points-wise, we're fine, so as long as our destroyer stays alive, and he does, because he's smart enough not to YOLO it when you're winning on points, right? So the unsung heroes of the match do exist, right? And it's that guy. So yeah, even though they're capping zones now and outnumber him, I mean, 20 seconds left, we're up on points, we got this, right? But yeah, so see, like, even, you know, I didn't, you know, the secondaries are, you know, still like 6.8 or something without any, I think there's like one thing buffing it a little bit that I had picked, and, you know, we only get the 6 hits, and it did trigger fire, you know, so it's got that going for it, right? But, so we nail the win there. We will take a look at the leaderboard. But yeah, this was, you know, after playing a few more games, kind of got the hang of this ship, and actually felt like I felt a little more confident in it and knew what I was doing, right? But thank you, Dungus McTurd, for staying alive. But we did get the top of the leaderboard spot there, what, 3,100 XP and almost 600 grand in credits. So this might be a good credit farming ship for me. We will see. And then I'll show you the build, right? So originally what I had done for upgrades was I picked the secondary, because you do get secondary battery mod too, which gives you another 20% range and 20% dispersion. But like, it was just like there's just not enough of them. Right? Like there's 2 turrets on each side that don't really seem like they're going to town. You know, it's nothing like your secondary build battleships, like your Bismarck or something, where it's just like this flood of bullets flying from your secondaries, right? It's like pew pew here and there. So I was like, this is not worth it. I felt like it was a waste of a mod. I think you can still do it. I think you can still have fun with it. It just wasn't working for me, right? I think the traverse speed's another good choice there, because the guns turn pretty freaking slow. So if you're going in up close and personal with other people, you need the guns to turn faster, right? But it's just like, I was having trouble with that playstyle with this shit, right? I'm taking a more medium approach, I guess, right? I wouldn't do target acquisition. We're doing concealment. You've got, you know, sonar, use the sonar, right? And you shouldn't need target acquisition, right? So, yeah, still working on these inspirations. I'm just playing matches. I'm, like, being stubborn and don't want to spend my commander XP, but I changed it from my like secondary boosts guys to better range and then more AP penetration, right? And then here's his base trait, you know, basically reduced damage if the secondary batteries are in use, which is cool, right? So you could argue like it's smart to make your secondaries have better range because then they're going to be aiming more, right? So, and then I originally had fortified, and you know, for the more HP and less damage, but I switched to piercer, full speed ahead here, cruiser speed and rudder shift, and then I originally had sponge, right, and I switched to punch through for more AP damage. And then I originally had sword of Colossus, right? Like it's like this commander's like unique perk, but I'm like, just like, it's circumstantial. I mean, maybe once you get it up to like max level, it goes up to 10%, but it just didn't feel that great. So I went the other way, right? And then refill station for the reload time here, right? And then you do get the better range when you're close to somebody, fine. But you could do will to rebuild because you get that amount of hit points recovered from the heal, right? But then, you know, the auto repair when you're close to somebody when you're at 20% or less, right? So yeah, so the way I have it here, if you look down towards the bottom and under artillery here, firing range for the secondaries is 6.8. So I think it started at 6.5, so something's giving it a little something, right? Reload time 3 seconds, HE shells, max damage 1500. It did not feel like they were doing anywhere near that, right? Like I guess I don't know, right? I'm not the like armor expert, right? So I'm just like, I try it, and if it doesn't work that great, I'm like, switch it, right? Fire setting chances are only 6%, right? So it's just, and there's 4 guns on, so there's two turrets on each side that have 2 guns on them, basically, right? So yeah, fire set on this ship lasts longer. That's always great, right? But it looks cool. The commander's fun. I like the sound, like the guns sound cool. Like I like that they're adding that kind of stuff in there, right? So, but yeah, we got this from a crate. I don't know. I was like undecided about like a lot of times with, you know, collaborations and stuff. I try and be moderate and pick one thing that I want and buy that one thing and be done, right? And here I just couldn't decide, so I bought some of the crates, and I was just like, let fate decide. So we did get this ship and the commander from the crates during live stream. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will play with this ship a little bit more and see what comes of it, see if we can do a little bit better too, right? Especially once the inspirations are done. So but yeah, we're doing World of Warships Legends videos most days, so make sure you are following, and we will see you next time.